program with the same goal in mind, which is working to a full tuition scholarship. So People's Summer University, or what we call as PSU, plays a huge role in the areas of peer mentorship, fostering community, and engagement. Students are actually given these opportunities to engage with and gain this experience with one another, as well as UW staff and even college and grad students who are also working. They're able to go on events with each other, make each other more comfortable, and become more familiar with the environment, along with actually gaining these experiences and getting to know staff as well, so that when they're coming to campus, if they choose to do so, they'll know that there's a familiar face somewhere on campus. From my experience working with summer residential programming as a residential mentor, I've actually seen firsthand the impact that this program actually makes, as it's giving students an opportunity socially and financially. My groups, both unassigned and assigned students, actually ask questions about programming or work-life balance or financial aid, and questions that actually challenge me to grow and actually think as a student already and as an employee. So this program actually matters as it invests in its students and encourages student buy-in for development and addresses the gaps that may exist between pre-college and college programming.
So we continue building community once students are on campus and as they transition. So 4 avenues of engagement we provide are the transitional programming, our Empower People programming, alumni connections, and student employment. So our transitional programming consists of 3 major parts, the first being the Summer Collegiate Experience, or SCE as we call it. It's a summer residential program for our scholars to take 2 classes at UW-Madison in the summer before their first academic year. Students also have the opportunity to just be on campus and be acclimated with the people and the environment to ease the transition into campus that first year. The first year orientation is when our scholars move in a week early, so SCE takes place at the beginning of the summer. First year orientation happens a week earlier from the start of the semester, and they take place and get to be involved in programming that, again, further supports their transition. And then once the fall semester begins, all of our first year students are enrolled in the first year seminar. And it's again a 1-credit class where all of our students get to be in community. It's held in the people office in our classroom, and they learn about things from career and academic exploration to professional development and discussions about campus climate. So all these programs are intentional in building community and allow students to be fully present and feel supported as they transition to university.
During the academic year, on the college side of people, we host all types of events which we organize into 3 categories: academic adjacent, fun and fellowship, and networking and placemaking. Listed above showcases all the events and how our people hosted so far. We will continue to offer these opportunities for students to connect, engage, and thrive in a welcoming and inclusive environment. We even narrowed down a few events we found particularly impactful after building students in our next slides. So the week-long finals programming. So this programming is academic adjacent, and our team put together a week-long event for students to come together to study for finals, receive writing help, and get access to free food. We worked hard to create a comfortable and productive atmosphere with quiet study spaces and group study areas. We also provide resources such as tutoring services and writing assistance, which are incredibly helpful to many students. Overall, these 2 events were a huge success, and it was amazing to see the impact it had on our fellow students. It was rewarding to see how our hard work paid off and to see students come together to support one another during such a stressful time. It was also a great learning experience for me personally, as I had the opportunity to develop my leadership, organizational, and communication skills throughout the planning and execution of this event. Moving on to our fellowship and fun category, we would like to highlight 2 more exciting events. People's Giving is an event organized to provide a space for students to come together and enjoy dinner. This event is much more than just a meal. It is a community building experience that fosters community and connection, relationship among students. During the event, students have the opportunity to socialize, make new friends, and celebrate the holiday. After the heartwarming success of People's Giving, another highly anticipated event on People's programming calendar is the Game Night, which offers students to unwind, have fun, to relax. Game Night is a highly anticipated event to provide students with a much-needed break from their academic responsibilities. The main objective of game night is to create a fun and relaxed atmosphere where students can unwind and enjoy themselves. During the event, a variety of games are offered to cater to different interests and preference. This includes board games, card games, video games, and interactive group games. Game night serves as a valuable stress relief opportunity for students, allowing students to momentarily set aside their academic pressures and focus on having a good time. By offering a space where students can relax, socialize, and enjoy themselves, game night contributes to their overall well-being and enhances their college experience. Last but not least, we want to have a standout event with our networking placemaking category, People Office Trick-or-Treating. People Office Trick-or-Treating is an annual event hosted in celebration of Halloween. This event takes place in the People Office and is open to all students. Participants are encouraged to wear costumes and trick-or-treat around the office, where staff members distribute candy and other treats. The event provides a fun and festive environment for students to come together and socialize with one another, while also giving them an opportunity to interact with the staff members who support them throughout their academic journey. The event also serves as a way to showcase the People Office and have a chance to engage with academic programs nearby, such as ACTS tutoring, the pre-law office, and the pre-health office. This event truly embodies the spirit of networking and placemaking by creating an inclusive and engaging environment where students can connect with peers and academic programs in a lighthearted and enjoyable setting. In addition to the excitement of People Office trick-or-treating, the event provides an excellent opportunity to introduce the innovative People Trading Cards.
Thank you so much, Daisy. So as Daisy alluded, another fun programming that we offer to our students is the People Trading Cards. These trading cards were a project that developed over the summer based off of an idea, a conversation between myself and my supervisor, Good Sun Boo, and it was first released at our trick-or-treating event. The People Trading Card is another example of the innovative and relevant ways that we strive to build community, not only amongst our scholars, but also to build student-staff relations. So, yes.
So I noticed people are taking pictures of the presentation.
Oh.
But there's like a QR code of the presentation.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, we invite you to be fully present. You do have access to the presentation via the QR code with the handout that you received coming in. And if you came in late, we have extra handouts at the table in the back, so you can feel free to grab it on your way out. Thank you so much. So with that, explaining a little bit more about the trading cards. So we have different designs of the trading card, and they revolve around different themes. And most of the trading cards will have a picture of and information of our college staff. So that includes our 4 advisors, our associate director, our director, and our administrative specialist. So even if they're not directly student-facing, our students are able to know the faces that exist in our office so that it is a welcoming place that feels like home for them. And with this, the different designs come with different rarities as well, with the red cards being the standard cards, the least rare, as well as the cartoon cards being the second rarest, and the rookie cards being the rarest. If you know anything about trading cards nowadays, they're a hot commodity. A lot of people make money from flipping trading cards, and apparently the rookie cards are the good ones. So really being able to do our research to figure out what's in and implement it into our programming. So how it works is every time a student is in our office and they talk to a staff, they can advocate for themselves and ask for a trading card. So they can get up to 7 trading cards a day by just talking to the staff, in addition to attending our events. So if they do attend our Empower People events, they'll get one independent to that event. So they can rack up multiple cards throughout the day. And of course, trading cards are fun, the aspect of trying to collect them all, but also having prizes attached to them is a good way for them to be engaged as well. So one of the things that we don't mention in this slide is the investment that we put into People Merge. It's fun to have people swag, but also it is functional because it allows us to really create that community feel and build that brand and what it means to be a People Scholar. With the nature of serving over 400 college students, it's going to be impossible for every student to know each other. But when you're going to lecture, Monday morning and you see someone else wearing a People shirt, you're like, oh my God, you're People, right? And that's how friendships are made as well, even if they didn't get to engage with each other in the pre-college side. So to simulate what it feels like to be able to engage with our trading cards, win some prizes, we did include a card on your handout coming in, and you will have a chance to win a few prizes, a bucket hat, umbrella, or a fanny pack, all people swag offered to our students throughout the academic year. And we will be giving that out at the end of the presentation, so make sure you stick around till the end. And how you win is you're gonna want to find a rookie or a cartoon card on the left side of the screen. So with that, we'll move on to alumni connections. So gonna give you all a moment to sit all in, and if you didn't get one of the rare cards, I'm sorry, better luck next time, or come to other people events. It's what, like a $5 flight? It's not too bad. So lastly, the last part of our engagement is going to be our alumni connections. So through our alumni connections, we hope to provide community building not only amongst our current college scholars, but also a multitude of opportunities for our scholars to engage with people alumni. The first way is through Alumni Connections, which is a programming effort that provides professional networking opportunities for scholars to engage with our alumni. Through this programming, our team gauges the industries that our students are currently interested in, and we reach out to our vast network of alumni to see if we can have individuals featured in our Alumni Connections programming, to have a dinner with our scholars, be able to talk about their journey, and answer some of the questions that they have navigating entering the workforce as first generation, low income, and or students of color. We are really lucky to have a vast network of alumni who are eager to give back to the program and to really embody the idea of lifting as they climb. So, in addition to Alumni Connections, there are other ways that our students are able to engage with alumni. Another way of doing so is through our Candid Convos events. This program is an effort to really tackle some of the topics that are often seen as being gatekept, whether it be, what is grad school? What is research? Is it only STEM? How do I apply for grad school? What is the purpose of grad school? Or what does it mean to engage in financial literacy as a low-income student, right? A lot of these things that are created for the majority, and oftentimes they're not relevant to our students. So one of the ways that we engage our alumni is having them come back for one of these programmings where we bring alumni along with community members to have a smaller, intimate conversation over dinner to talk about these topics. And lastly, another way that our students engage with our alumni is through Level Up, the student development conference that Anissa had talked about earlier. So through our student development conference, we engage our second year and above through a multitude of workshops that they can choose to go to, and we have a portion specifically for alumni panels. So we categorize each panel according to the industry that our alumni are working, or if they are current grad school students, we'll have a grad school specific panel, and this is a way where we can engage multiple alumni rather than just a one-off basis. So going back to this idea of engagement, it's important to note that it's occurring before, during, and after their time at UW-Madison. As London spoke about earlier, her experience as a college scholar working as a residential mentor allows her to mentor our incoming pre-college students and allows our pre-college students to see themselves in London's shoes. And that also goes for alumni, right? When you leave UW-Madison, the community, the mentorship does not end there. They are eager to give back and lift as they climb.
So the second component of the People First framework is agency, and so this component is guided by the questions: how do you empower students, and how do you share ownership? So again, how do we find ways to empower and share ownership of the actual program itself with our students? And so at People, we do this through our student employment and our student leadership team.
So first and foremost, one of the main opportunities for our scholars to make an impact on our program is through student employment opportunities. So on this slide, you will see a list of all of these student employment opportunities that we have within our program, both on the pre-college and the college side. And next to each position title, you will see in parentheses the number of positions that we hire for that role. We hope that this list can illustrate the large-scale nature of the work that we do as a program, and illustrates that in order for us to carry out the initiatives that we do as a whole, we require a good amount of people power and the necessary student hourly budget in order to support those initiatives. And in order for us to truly share ownership of the program with our student staff, we strive to offer each student employee with the following benefits for employment at the People Program. And that will be equitable compensation, professional mentorship and development, as well as shared power and responsibility. And while we don't exclusively hire People Scholars, we understand that this provides an opportunity for them to engage with the program while offering support in these areas. So you will find many People Scholars in the roles that were listed in the last slide. And from a financial needs survey that our team released this year, we discovered that over 2/3 of our scholars work part-time in addition to being a full-time student. And out of those scholars, over 80% work because they have unmet financial needs or they need to support their family financially. And between those scholars who do work full-time, it averaged over 14 hours a week. Like, let that set in. On average, our students are working 14 hours a week in addition to being a full-time student. And that means that there are students that are working 30, 40 hours a week in the most extreme cases in order to survive being a student. Because of this, we strive to provide equitable compensation by regularly conducting market research to ensure that our pay remains competitive and fair. And through the work, we hope to embed the opportunities of professional development, mentorship, as well as shared power and responsibility. And the last thing I will also say is this highlights, at least the equity and compensation part, highlights that a 4-year tuition scholarship is not enough, right? That is not enough in terms of financial support, and that is one of the ways that we can support our students, but also build agency within our employment practices. And when it comes to the other benefits of employment, I will actually let you hear straight from the source and hear from a student about the benefits they receive through their employment experience.
Thank you, Kim. To speak on the professional mentorship and development, in the last few years, I've actually worked in a few different people positions within different capacities. The same way that there are many opportunities to actually work with and volunteer people, there are many opportunities to grow in these areas as well. As we're still being seen as students first, we work within limits, so we're actually open to actually adjusting these hours as well. In these different areas, you're actually able to build connections with staff members and gain a new level of insight and support in regards to the program and receive professional mentorship. I've worked closely with the Madison Associate Director for Pre-College, Educational Content Specialists, and past and current directors. Even when opportunities actually seem to be scarce, they created opportunities for me to work and grow personally. The variety of tasks and responsibilities actually encouraged me to step outside of my comfort zone and explore new strategies and ways of thinking. These experiences taught me new levels of responsibility, gave me new connections, and gave me a sense of power and leadership that I'm actually truly grateful for in the program.
Hello again. Me personally, I use my connections with people to apply as a supply assistant originally. And I mainly did so because I felt like I wanted to give back more to the people community as is. People has provided me with so much, and I felt like, you know, it was almost like I had to give back. And thus doing so in 3 months, I was really dedicated to the work. I gave it my best, and I managed to get promoted to be supervisor, which is being the supply assistant lead. So I'm very grateful for that.
Being a first-generation college student and never having a job, being a people student, I was able to network and connect with my old advisor to get a front desk assistant job, and that really helped me earn some extra cash and just get and learn new skills of how to run an office and how to answer phone calls, and work personally close with the academic advisors and help with their needs and everything, and it's just really nice. I get to meet the students too, so I get to talk to a lot of students, and just knowing the behind the scenes of how to run people programs. We do have some of the parents call us and we have to answer the questions. So I do work with the pre-college and college side as the front desk assistant, which is really nice, and just a really great opportunity, honestly.
Yeah, like they said, throughout the program, we as students get a chance to grow really close with staff. I personally have gained mentors during the summer who helped me on my first year coming into UW. They helped me navigate through it, being a first-generation student and everything. But not only did I get closer with those RMs and former students, I got really close with the associate director of the pre-college side, my own advisor, Nisa, who both like pushed me to be the best me in this program. Not only that, the associate director got me a job, Anissa and everyone pushed me to come and do this conference here today. So like, you're just able to grow more professionally with your staff members. But in addition to employment, people also build agency and a sense of ownership. Through the student leadership team, which was fully formed our last academic year. Daisy will give us further information on what the student leadership team is.
Thank you, Joe. So, moving beyond Student Advisory Board, before the establishment of the Student Leadership Team, there were notable community building events that laid the foundation for its formation. In 2010, the Community Development Committee was fostered to a sense of community among People Scholars. This committee focused on organizing events and activities that brought together students, creating opportunities for connection, collaboration, and their efforts set the stage for future community building initiatives within the program. Another significant milestone was the introduction of the People Mentor Program in 2018, which aimed to provide mentorship and support to students. This program recognized the importance of peer mentors in fostering a strong community and facilitating academic and personal growth. Pairing experienced upperclassmen with incoming students, the People Mentor Program helped newcomers navigate their college journey and forge meaningful relationships. The program's success demonstrates the power of mentorship in building a supportive and inclusive community within the People program. Now, during the challenging period of the COVID-19 pandemic, I personally experienced a need for community and support as a first-year college student. To address this, I collaborated with my old People advisor to create the Empowered People team. This virtual program brought all People Scholars together for creative group events, offering a way to engage and connect despite the online learning challenges. Over time, the Empowered People team evolved into the Student Leadership team, hosting student-led events within the People program. Since its establishment in 2020, the team has successfully organized over 50 events, further fostering a sense of community and engaging among students. This program has provided instrumental in navigating the challenges of college life during the pandemic and beyond, creating a supportive environment for all People Scholars. Now, the Student Leadership Team experience. The establishment of the Student Leadership Team has allowed for a greater level of engagement and ownership for People Scholars. Students now have an opportunity to choose how they want to engage with the program, ranging from attendees to lead event planners and connectors. The next level of engagement involves creating community events, allowing students who are interested in leading to take charge of planning processes. These students will work together to determine the event budget, necessary supplies, graphic design, email newsletter, and flyers. This level of engagement empowers the students to take ownership and leadership in roles in the program. Developing valuable skills in event planning and project management. It also allows for a greater level of customization in event planning as each committee can focus on specific interests and goals within the program. Overall, this level of engagement fosters a sense of agency and responsibility of the events the People Scholars to participate in. And engagement without hierarchy creates an inclusive and open environment where all members of the SLT are valued equally, regardless of position or seniority. Each member has the opportunity to contribute their ideas and perspectives, which are valued and respected. This fosters a sense of community, encourages teamwork, mutual respect, and ultimately leads to a more effective and successful organization. Additionally, engagement without hierarchy provides a platform for gaining soft and hard skill development, such as ownership of projects, event creation, other skills like leadership, communication, collaboration, event planning, and many more. This practical experience can be valuable for various career fields, and without a strict hierarchy, students can learn from one another and have a voice in decision making. Going forward, Manny can speak more of the creation of game night and the different skills he was able to develop.
Thank you, Daisy. To give you guys context, I was the co-founder and the active lead for Game Night. I actually started up Game Night during my freshman year. And it was mainly on boredom, not gonna lie. I remember walking around the office asking my peers to see what events were going around campus. And to my surprise, many of them said that they weren't aware of a lot of events going on. So that led me to question myself, is it possible for me to create my own event? And so I went over to my awesome advisor, Goodson, he's back there. Goodson.
I know where you're going now.
But yeah, he approved it, and then I started to wonder, well, if I do create this event, is it something that people would actually want to see? So again, I walked around the office and I surveyed my fellow scholars, and I got a good approval rating. So then I started working on the logistics, which was practically getting, games. I provided video games myself, and people was actually very kind enough to provide us with board games, so we can have a wide variety of choices. Next, we were moving on to choosing the food for game night. And what better food than traditional game night foods? So we got pizza, chicken tenders, soda, all that amazing stuff. And then, after a while, game night finally became a highly anticipated event amongst the people community, but also for non-people scholars as well. We had people all throughout the campus come through, including our awesome advisors as well. They would come in on their days off just to participate in game night and connect with the scholars, which is cool. Eventually, game night was adopted into the Empower student leadership team, which allowed me to plan and host game night with much more ease. I learned how to manage a budget with food orders, because originally I didn't have a set budget, and that was a bit of a problem, because sometimes we would have a surplus of food, and we didn't want that food to go to waste. But luckily, we do have a community fridge set up so that we can store leftovers and have students take food throughout the week, so they have a nice little lunch, or take some back to the dorm. I also learned more about advertising game nights and how I can use data and feedback to improve future game nights. Originally, I just designed the posters and I hanged them up around the office, but with the help of the SLT team, I was able to put my flyers on an email, but also on our people parcel, and that drew more attention. On top of this, I was provided with extra help with my SLT members to help set up game night, because before then, I was just a one-man band trying to run it all. But going on to my original mission, I originally made game night to just provide a space for fellow students to relax and take a break from their academics, and hopefully relieve some stress from all the stuff going on in their lives, whether it be academics, at home, or anything else that could have been going on. And I believe I achieved this goal with our model that we have created for game night. Just come and enjoy a night filled with food and fun. And if it weren't for me taking the initiative and advocacy and for the continuation of game night, it probably wouldn't have been as successful as it is today.
I love that. Thank you so much, Manny. I really appreciate you walking us through the process of getting started, but also executing it and how it's evolved over time. I think the most powerful part of that is, like Manny mentioned that Goodson is his advisor, but he's also the associate director, right? So to be able to go to an associate director of your program and just say like, hey, I want to see this, and for it to happen, like I cannot have imagined that happening to me when I was a college student, right? So having our scholars in a position where they feel comfortable doing that and they're met with the outcome that they want when they advocate for themselves is really powerful to see and hear. So this is just a small example of how our student leadership team builds a community by supporting these events. And it's one example where students get to choose to engage with the program, which falls on the spectrum, right? So there are some scholars that might just want to work for us. They don't want to be as involved as a student leader. And there are some students that their involvement involves coming to the events. And there are some students who just come to the office to study, and that's great too. And I think that's important to note, because the engagement and how they choose to engage and the extent in which they choose to engage is entirely up to them, and they have the agency to decide on that. So as we close out the agency piece of the framework, talking about the benefits that our students gain by engaging with our students in an elevated sense, it's also important for me to note that our program benefits a lot from the agency that our students take advantage of, right? By being in these student leadership roles, by being in these student employment roles, our program is better for it. And I think that it's really important for us to note, after going through all the benefits for our students, the value that our students bring to our programming is like, I cannot explain it in words. So I just want to thank you all for the work that you do, but also really hone in on that, because I cannot overstate it enough. So with that, we will move on to the last piece of the framework, advocacy.
Thank you, Kim. So as she said, we're going to be moving on to our final part of the framework, which is going to answer the questions: how do you act on student voice and feedback, and how do you leverage your institutional position? So again, the third component of the People First framework is advocacy. This component highlights the ways that the program advocates for our students on an institutional level, and how we help our students develop advocacy skills for themselves, taking into consideration the barriers that may exist at a PWI. So we've broken it down into listening and connecting, with an understanding that both are actually happening simultaneously. To touch on the listening component, fostering cultures of trust and openness and looking at different ways to gather feedback is how staff may go about advocating for students and leveraging the institutional position of students in the program. So acting on student feedback cultivates trust and honors the feedback that students may give, whether it's taken from a one-on-one advising meeting, a program event, or it's just passive conversation. From the student perspective, there is not a forced feeling of formality because there's this level of comfort and trust with our leadership and the staff as well. So the spaces feel open, you're able to go in and take your issues or concerns to your assigned advisor or any other staff who's available and ready to help. So instances like UW's recent housing crisis where students were placed into a lottery system to determine if they could stay in housing, or different hate and bias incidents that may occur on campus can actually be a couple of occurrences that can be considered deeply discouraging and traumatic experiences for our students. But having our people staff available has proven to be an advantage time and time again, as advisors have always been present and ready to actively listen, while also instilling those values of advocacy and encouraging individuality so that students may be involved in the problem-solving process themselves. Whether it's just filling out emergency grant applications, sending emails, or setting up appointments with UW faculty. This is what can be considered the advising philosophy, which continues to develop as staff actually continues to find and encourage new and formal ways to gain feedback and grow through a regular advising feedback survey or scheduled focus groups, where students are able to come in at scheduled times and actually discuss issues that may be overlooked.
Students also have the chance to share a sense of ownership over decisions that impact the future of the program. We as students are not left outside of the room while decisions are made. We are brought into the room and have a seat at the table. Students have the opportunity to be a part of the hiring process for our directors, associate directors. These, not only do we get a chance to sit there and listen and make future decisions with the program of our staff members, but it's not like we're just there for them to be a show. Our decisions, insight is used by the program to make decisions and help better the program as a whole. That is not all, though. The program also fosters future leaders by providing a chance to present at national conference on behalf of the program. These opportunities also allow students to grow further professionally as people. This shows that our program listens to our students and the voices they have. Before we can make any connections, the students have to be listened to. So to speak further on connecting, Anissa will give us more.
So the various outlets that we listen and collect feedback from students provides us with critical information on things like financial concerns, mental health, housing, instances of hate and bias. And we gather all this information, and some of it's directly applicable to our own programming and informs that work. But we also recognize that some of that feedback is beyond us, so we're able to take that information and then bring it up to higher units on campus to really advocate for the improvement of our students' experience at UW beyond people program. So this is the connecting piece, right? So both those things are happening at the same time. One component of it is our advising philosophy. As we mentioned before, all of our students are assigned a people advisor that they meet with regularly throughout their time at UW-Madison to address their academic, social, and emotional needs. And our approach to advising is one that's really centered in self-advocacy. So our goal is really to provide students with the tools, the avenues, and the confidence to really demand what they need from our campus. So we do this by demystifying institutional practices, connecting them to proper units on a very large campus such as the UW, coaching them through institutional processes when advocating for themselves, often for the first time. And we encourage our students to ask more from and be disruptive of the institution itself. So in a very recent and public instance, after a racist video of a UW-Madison student was circulated on campus in May, many of our students were at the forefront of those protests. and at the forefront of making the demands for better care and protection of our marginalized students. And our staff were not the ones like who were leading that whatsoever, but our students were. And we were there to encourage and support wherever they were in that process of understanding what was happening and what they wanted to demand and take as their next steps with that incident.
Yeah, our students are change agents, and the things they do are powerful. But we also understand that that is a burden, right? A burden to have to advocate for yourself in that way. So we also understand that coaching is a step that happens in our advising session, but also as advisors, we have a responsibility to also take those actions and support them however we can. And that often is using our positionality and leveraging our privilege to be in certain spaces to really amplify our student voices and express the concerns, the struggles, the demands that we've heard from our students directly. So one of the ways that that occurs is through the DDA Global Scholars Committee. So I'm a part of a committee of the DDA Global Scholars, and essentially what that is that provides scholarship funding for students in our scholarship programs under the DDA who want to study abroad in the winter or the summer. And that's important because within these scholarship programs, most of them do provide a full tuition scholarship throughout the fall and spring semester. But if you study abroad during the winter or summer term, there's no funding that's available to our scholars. So in 2017, a group of advisors came together, did research on looking at the literature of study abroad practices that benefit our students. They also looked at the number of students in our programs that were studying abroad at UW-Madison and decided that that was not enough, right? We have a lot of students who are either first gen, low income, a combination of both, students of color, who have barriers to be able to experience study abroad. So they took all their research and literature, they brought it up, and they were able to secure $75,000 a year to support our scholars in those endeavors. And I think this is just one of the many examples that our advisors are able to go above and beyond their own specific roles in their office to support our scholars. And I was actually a scholar of the inaugural DDA Study Abroad Scholarship, so it also means especially much to me knowing the context behind how this started. Because as a student, I didn't realize it was the first time it was being held, and I didn't understand the work it took to get to that point. And lastly, more recently would be a DDA emergency fund. So like our students alluded to with financial aid, financial crisis of affordable housing, it became abundantly clear to us that our students were struggling and it was impacting their performance in the classroom when they were worrying about what they were going to eat the next day, where they were going to live next year. And we knew that even though there were emergency funds offered throughout the campus through the financial aid office, the Dean of Students office, we knew that our students specifically in our division were going to be more impacted by this crisis that all students were facing. So we had, in the spaces where we were with the chancellor, with our chief diversity officer, we reiterated these concerns and we asked, what can we do to support our scholars? And thankfully our division listened to us and they were able to implement an emergency fund specifically for our DDA students, which has been utilized at a really large rate for this academic year. But I think that it's important for you to hear straight from the student because sometimes we might have intent with our funds and they may or may not land the way we intend. So Daisy will speak on it a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. As a student, the DDA fund was a lifeline during the challenging times. When the housing crisis hit, many of us were left feeling very overwhelmed and unsure we were able to afford a place to live or food to feed ourselves. And the rising costs of rent and utilities made it increasingly difficult to meet our basic needs and also focus on our education because we are full-time students who also work part-time jobs and we all have these payments we have to pay. Through our advisors, we were able to address our concerns during the housing crisis and use our voices to share with us about the DDA fund and that we could fill out to get more financial assistance. If it wasn't for my advisors, honestly, I wouldn't have known about this emergency fund and how that we were able to kind of create it and how it was very used because of inflation and the housing crisis. Everything is just increasing and it's just really expensive. You go to the grocery store and it's just for fruit, it's what? $10 more. I'm like, dang, I can't eat healthy then. So it was just really helpful in that sense. Thank you so much to our advisors for listening and using their leverage to advocate for us in our stance. And going off of that, in essence, our framework of engagement, agency, and advocacy reflects our commitment to provide support to our scholars by fostering a strong community, empowering students, and advocating for their needs. We strive to ensure their success and create a transformative educational experience.
So we recognize that was a lot. And we also recognize that the institutions that you're all coming from and the structure and the landscape might be very different from ours. And so we want to just add a couple caveats to provide some more context of how we're operating. So the first is that people did not just appear overnight. We have a 20+ year history of institutional money and like structural support. So I would, that's an important thing to recognize, that we have grown immensely over the course of the 25 years to expand to the 1,000+ scholars that we support today, with a specific emphasis on that pre-college to college pipeline. Additionally, our team has a non-hierarchical and horizontal leadership model, and while this is not necessarily the case for the entire institution that we work under or even other units that we partner with, it's crucial in how our staff has been able to build programming that really meets the needs of our students. And then additionally, Kim and I are both alums of UW-Madison and of People, and this provides us with additional expertise and experience because we encountered many of the same barriers that our students are experiencing today. And then lastly, we want to acknowledge that burnout is real and sustainability questions are also very real, and very transparently, Kim and I are able to provide support for all of this programming because we take time outside of work and we don't have as many familial responsibilities at the moment. So we recognize that this is not a sustainable practice and not something that we can lean on. So in order for this kind of work to continue, a serious investment needs to be made to add staff capacity to continue to meet student needs.
All right. I'd like to thank you all for listening to our presentation today. Once again, we do understand that this was a lot. It might be overwhelming. We also understand that your programs may not be able to implement all of our aspects. But we do, however, encourage you to return to our framework questions. How do we build community among students? How do we share ownership? And finally, how do we act on student voice and feedback? Okay, now we can move on to a little activity so that everyone can get involved. Don't make it just listen to us talk anymore. We want you to, on your own, on your little handout there, think, pair, share. With those questions above, just jot down some ideas. Then we'll all come back and we'll move on from there.